Alright, today we're changing the oil in a 2003 Toyota Prius. So it's a Gen 1, doesn't have the hatchback. We're going to jack up this side until the tire just barely comes off the ground. The reason I do that is it gives me a little bit extra room to work with. Getting the oil wrench in there and stuff. So I usually just take it up till the tire just starts to move. Well, actually, doesn't need to move. Then we got to get the oil pan under here. So we're going to get the oil pan under here. And the nice thing about a Toyota Prius is you can change the oil on this and the oil filter at the same time. So there's your, it's going to be a 14 millimeter. And you can do it without having to crawl under the car. It's really nice. The oil filter is right here. That's the oil filter. And it takes one of these, well, you can use any oil filter wrench, but this is the easiest. You put this on there. And it actually, this socket is made for this. This is the one you actually need for a Gen 3, but it works on the oil filter too. Because a Gen 3, you got to crawl under the car in order to change the oil on a Gen 3. Whoops. Didn't break the phone. Alright, so you're going to loosen this. You're going to drain that into an oil pan. And then we'll move this over here and loosen the oil filter off the rest of the way. And while we're waiting for it to drain, we'll go put a oil sticker on the window. Since I'm using full synthetic SuperTech 530, I'm going to put 5,000 miles, just add 5,000 miles to the oil sticker. Now this Toyota takes a 4967 oil filter, but the nice thing about this is the oil filter, just like on a Chevy Astro van, it fastens straight up, so straight vertically, so you can literally pre-fill this and put it back on the car. Nice thing about doing that is you have less, you have less time where there's no oil in your engine when your engine's starting up for the first time on the initial start. So by pre-filling this and putting it on, it's not a side mount, it literally goes pretty much straight up. You can keep your engine from being starved from oil just for that brief moment that it's taking the oil pump to pump oil up to your cams and into all your bearings. So that's what I do. I'm going to fill this up with my oil, and then I'm going to let the bubbles go out of it, and I'm going to fill it up even more so I put it back on the car. One other thing you want to do when you're putting this back on is you want to oil this ring around here. That'll help keep it from binding up, so the rubber ring won't come off while you're installing it. So you want to pre-oil that. But you'll see I've got oil in this already, and I just got to take the other filter off, put this back on brand new, and turn it about 3/4 of a turn after it's tight. Well, not tight, turn it 3/4 of a turn after it hits and seats, and that should be snug enough. Once you take the old oil filter off, you want to clean the old oil, and you want to make sure that the seal comes off with the filter. If that seal doesn't come off with the filter, then you'll never get a proper seal up here, because the old seal, if it sticks up here, will literally make the new oil filter leak. So you want to clean off this oil. So that it's clean, and you can see that there's no oil ring up there. The oil ring we saw for sure came off with the oil filter. We've already greased this oil filter. We didn't grease it, we pre-oiled it and put oil in it. So we're just going to put this up here. Don't cross thread this. It kind of sits off at a slight angle, but you don't want to force it on there. You just want to gently find the threads until it goes on. There we go. It's going on nice and smooth. If this goes on hard, then you got it cross-threaded. You don't want to crank these on here. You don't want to use the tool to crank them on. You just turn them about 3/4 of a turn after you get them seated. Then you clean off this, where the drain was, where the drain plug is, and you put that back on. You want to inspect your oil plug gasket. Make sure that it's not cracked or anything. This one right here looks like it's actually starting to crack. So, I mean, if you wanted to, you could change that out. They sell those in little kits. This one actually looks like it's starting to crack, but not cracked all the way, so I'm going to use it and just make sure it doesn't crack when I put it back on there. Yeah, that one should be replaced. So, like me being me, I'll probably just use it. But you want to clean off where it's going. Make sure there's no oil. I mean, oil actually help it seal, but there's going to be oil constantly dripping out of here. But before you put oil back in your car, you definitely want to make sure that you get your oil plug back in and your oil filter. All right, the torque on this, it says 28 foot-pounds, not inch-pounds. And of course, the socket's in the wrong place. So it says 28 foot-pounds. We're going to make sure we got 28 on there without cracking that. Oh my, that's tighter than I would do it. Yeah, that's much tighter than I would ever tighten it. Holy cow. That's crazy. All right, so it says 28 foot-pounds. That seems like an awful lot. But this one right here is about cracked, so I'm sure it's not going to last much longer. It's got some life in it. So I got a metal one. Since it's got to go to 28, I said, hey, we'll get a metal one. Put that on there. We're going to do this again. "28 inch-pounds. Man, that's a lot. I mean, 28, that means it's not coming out. Oh, there it went. Okay, that was it. You heard the click. That just seemed very unnecessary. Now, of course, we've already made sure that we got our oil plug back on. Made sure that we have our oil filter on. And now we just put 3.8 quarts in a Gen 1 and Gen 2. It's 4.4 quarts for anything after 2009. So a 2010 would be, has 4.5 quarts basically. We're going to fill this up We've already got the mileage sticker in there. We added 5,000 miles since we're using full synthetic. And when you're done, take your oil funnel out. Put your cover back on. And then I always look under the car, make sure there's nothing coming out from underneath. Otherwise, you might want to look at your oil filter. Of course, you're going to start this and make sure there aren't any oil leaks. But that's how you change the oil in a Gen 1 Prius.